Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's IxDF Design Meetup, proudly powered by Experion Technology. I'm really glad that you are all with us today. So let's get started into today's session. So, guys, have you ever felt an app or a physical product that really understands you, a lot better than your closed people? That feeling, right, where the system seems to anticipate your very next move and gently guiding you with just the right cues. It's both amusing and also thought-provoking because it just makes you realize how closely technology is connected to our cognition. See, behind all this is a very powerful, thoughtful craft of behavior design. Someone somewhere has actually put a lot of thought and they try to see through the user's perspective with a clever and compassionate effort, trying to combine psychology and intuition for every tap, click, and choices that the user would make. So we have Atul with us today, an insightful design thinker and practitioner, and an amazing photographer and digital artist with us. He is with us to help us see the environment and digital products around us, even physical product around us, through a designer's lens. Truly enabling us to, figure out the gap between the product and the user's mindset. Awesome. So just for the ease of today's session, we have unmuted everyone. You could just add any questions on the chat or the Q&A session that Q&A box at the top that you see. And Atul will be, and the team will be able to, cover all of your questions. Amazing. Over to you, Atul.
Thanks, Yusri. Yeah. So, hi everyone. Hello, I'm Atul. So, first of all, I want to thank all the IxDF members for inviting me for this talk, and yeah, and especially Yusri for that very warm welcome. I usually do a very terrible introduction of myself, so thanks for saving me from that. Yeah. So yeah. So as you see, the topic. Let's without wasting much time, let's just jump into the topic, right? Let's dive into the presentation. So yeah, so the topic, as you see, we are going to talk about is behavioral design. So I understand that the audience right here is may not entirely be of designers, right? It might also consist of engineers. Also might be BAs. There also might be product managers. So it's a mixed crowd, right? So I'm trying to present this topic not only from a designer's perspective, but then ultimately what we are doing is we are all trying to build products, right? We are creators. We are trying to build experiences for the user or the target customer that we are going for. So keeping them in mind, how can we design better user experiences and which is enjoyable, seamless, and ultimately intuitive. So yeah, so I'll just dive into the presentation now. So I hope I'm yeah. So yeah. So what is before going into the topic, I just want to give a background. So what is behavioral design and why I'm taking this topic to be in the first place. So as so behavioral design is in a nutshell is nothing more than uh, in implementing concepts of psychology and behavioral science into building products so that the end product is intuitive and it resonates with the user. So that's behavioral design in a nutshell. But then it's a very vast topic which cannot be covered in the time frame that I'm allotted. But then, yeah, what I'm giving you is a sneak peek into how concepts of psychology and behavior science can be applied to create better products. So, yeah. So, first of all, before going to the topic, one thing that we all have to keep in mind is yeah. So, as users of digital products, we all use different types of products in our life, right? So the moment we wake up, we check our time on our smartphones. We use laptops, we use wearables like smartwatches, we use meta glasses, AR, VR glasses. So we use a plethora of products in our daily life, like all the time. And sometimes we make small mistakes, right? Like a missed click here and there. Sometimes we close browsers without even noticing, or accidentally we close it. We order stuff online on Amazon or any other e-commerce platform, like accidentally we add it to the cart, and but then these can be corrected. These are not. This doesn't have uh, a huge after effect, right? So, but then what's the other end of the spectrum? Uh, what And all these products are very carefully curated for the user, so that it's very easy for them to use, and they can start off from a task and then complete their goal or complete their task very easily and very seamlessly. So all these products, what you see around you, are created very putting in so much thought and effort into it. So, uh, but then what if some things were overlooked, and some design choices which were neglected could cause a huge catastrophe? So, what is the other spectrum of having mistakes or errors which can be corrected? So, I just want to take you through a couple of stories which would which would showcase us that humans are not entirely error proof. It's in our nature to make mistakes. So that's the first thing that we have to understand as creators and product designers, or anyone who is involved in the product design life cycle. So humans innately have a tendency to make mistakes, and they will make errors even if you design the most perfect system. So somewhere in the process, error is bound to happen. So I just want to take you through a set of stories that I just want to tell you some stories that, so that we can collectively understand that a product is not just a set of screens, not a bunch of screens aligned in a manner so that someone can accomplish a task. It's much it goes deeper than that. It's much bigger than that. So we go to the next bit of our presentation, which is, yeah. So uh, so let's take the first story. So the first incident is the friendly fire incident, which so the what happened was, there was a warship called USS Vincennes, which during a war, it was stationed near Iran, and so like, as you know, all these warships use radars, right? So um, maybe when you are designing a product, you might have made a decision. So there might have arisen a situation where you would have to choose between icons, right? For one instance, do you use one icon or the other? So maybe for some instances, you might have completely neglected the use of multiple icons as well. So, but then are those really important? So I just want to tell you the story about how that is a small decision like that can be entirely change the course of history. So there is in the radar, there is a they got an alert that an aircraft is heading towards them. So it was a time of war, and the situation was very tense. So the commanders in the warship tried to operators in the warship tried to contact the airline to just to uh, make sure that whether it was a civilian or a military aircraft. So, but then unfortunately they couldn't, and they shot down that aircraft, which was it was a civilian aircraft, and killing almost like 260 people. So this happened majorly because uh, at a time where they could have distinguished between a civilian and a military aircraft using some sort of visual element, they just neglected the fact that it might not arise. So this situation might not arise. But then if they had used two different icons or visual elements for to differentiate both of them, the situation wouldn't have arisen. So yeah, so that is one incident where a very tragic incident where the root cause can be traced back to a design decision that someone made while developing that product. Yeah. So the second one is a bit more hilarious, but then still tragic. So yeah. So the thing is, it's called it comes like decades later. So the first incident was in 1988, and second one is in 2018, as you can see. So the second one is Hawaii missile alert false alarm. So in Hawaii, there was a missile like a disaster operation management protocol. So the operators of that control panel, disaster management control panel, had uh, alerted all citizens of Hawaii that a nuclear missile, is coming towards them, so that to attack them. So imagine the situation of the people over there. So this happened solely because some inside one drop down, there were like we are all designed drop downs, right? So inside drop down, we mindlessly keep on adding all the elements that uh, comes in that information architecture. So just like that, someone designed that platform with without prioritizing uh, an option for a real case scenario and a demo scenario. So the operator who thought that he was putting up the alerts for a demo accidentally put up a statehood alert that a missile was coming towards them. So the scenario was noticed and corrected only after 40 minutes. So imagine the situation of the people and the panic that caused because of one small design error. So that's the second scenario. And much later, the third story is not exactly due to design, not due to a design error, but then it's basically a business decision. So as we all know, the cars we see on roads right now are basically a tech machine, right? So it has all the digital tech pushed into it so that the cars would sell more. So all the dashboards have been dashboards, all the physical buttons, all the physical knobs, all the tactile feedback have been removed and replaced by digital screens. So what's the after effect of this? So in 2023, a report called DECRA Road Safety Report came out that because of this push uh, in changing all the functionalities of a car into digital screens, which needs so much attention, right? So at a time where we are taught that not to even use our mobile phones while driving. So because of all the functionalities are right now in tactile buttons and in digital screens, use people who are actually driving, need to take attention of the road to operate these screens. Maybe for the windshield wipers, they need screens right now. So because of this, the traffic accidents have been rising, and right now car manufacturers are pushing for at least implementing all the necessary functions as physical buttons or knobs. So these are design decisions which have been neglected and which have caused a lot of tragic incidents in history. So one thing we have to keep in mind is even a product is very simple product as an app is not exactly a set of just a bunch of screens. There's a lot of thought and there's a lot of effort that goes into curating the experience and making sure that it's error proof. So there is one spectrum where these errors can be easily corrected. There isn't much after effects, but there's another spectrum where the after effects can be catastrophic. Yeah. So from here, what do we learn from these stories, right? So how do we what do we make out of these instances? So what are the key questions to raise from here? So let's see what the root cause of these incidents were. So as we talked about, the root cause of these incidents were can be entirely traced back to some design decisions that we made. I mean, the people who created these products made. And why do people overlook these obvious things? So we can always make uh, like tell others, right? These are very minor stuff which will get noticed, and the user would always behave in a certain way. But then in real case scenarios, why do people overlook obvious things? And when we are, as creators, as product designers, as people who are creating digital products, how can we design for the brain and not against it? How can we create products which are easier to use for the end user? So that's what we are going to look through in the next series of the presentation. So yeah, so to break down why a person behaves in a certain way, or a user behaves in a certain way, we need to understand how their brain works, right? So we need to understand how one person goes from uh, thinking what to do and doing what they're doing right now. So that entire process we'll be breaking down now, so that we'll get an understanding on what actually goes on inside their head. So we are going to next series of the topic, that is, how does your brain actually make a decision? So yeah, so okay, yeah. So when you're looking at how a person is making a decision, all your decisions can be broken down into or categorized into two systems. So that is system one and system two. So system one, as you can see, consists of all the snap judgments, the reflexes that you have, or the gut feelings that you get, which are very fast, intuitive, and emotional. So, and for an example, I can say, imagine about like you're at your desk and you see the bottle rolling off your desk. So immediately, without even thinking, you jump and try to grab that bottle, right? So you don't really think about what that bottle is made of. You don't really uh, try to think about what the velocity that bottle is traveling at. So all these parameters is out of question. You just your brain just tells you what to do and you just do it. So these reflexes and snap judgments are categorized into system one. But then the other choices, which requires a lot of thinking, requires a lot of mental effort, like solving a math problem, or whether planning a trip, or you're planning your route for your journey, or maybe if you just want to go from point A to point B and you just want to decide the transportation that you'll be taking. So all these decisions which require a bit of effort and require a bit of time are categorized into system two. See, so for example, logical problem analysis and everything comes into system two, which is slow and rational and analytical. So all your decisions that you make in life are categorized into system one or either system two. So, but now let's break down this a bit more further, so that we get a deeper understanding on how the brain, what the process or the step-by-step process the brain goes through to make a decision. So first, let's look at system one. So system one, as I told you, basically has two steps, right? So first is the trigger or the stimulus. So as I said, the situation that I just told you, you see the bottle rolling off your desk, right? So your the sensory receptors like getting that information and pass that onto your brain. So the visual information is passed on, and your brain just decides this is the right thing to do, right? And it just goes on taking that action. So there is no intermediate steps involved in between. So, but then this action may be right or may be wrong. But then the brain doesn't take effort to evaluate that. So this is how the first system one, just has two steps in decision making. But then the second step, right? So the analytical one. So that has, instead of two, it has four. So the first and last step is the same. The sensory input reception and the decision execution is the same. But then between that, there comes pattern recognition and option evaluation. So what this basically means is, when the brain gets a trigger or stimulus, it gets passed on to the for pattern recognition. So what happens basically is, the brain checks whether a situation, such situation, or this stimulus have been you have come to the situation has arisen in the past. So it checks previous options that you took. For example, maybe you are riding a bicycle, or maybe you are taking uh, yeah, you're trying to ride a bicycle. So when you're starting out, you don't it doesn't come very naturally, right? You try, and then finally somehow you learn it. So uh, so when during first phases, you might fall down. So your brain tries to uh, evaluate what you did wrong at that time. So the next time the same process repeats, it doesn't do that. It goes on taking a different set of steps, or different set of paths or actions that it can take. So based on previous experiences, it shortlists a uh, set of actions, which gets evaluated based on risk and reward. So imagine you have like four options, and then the brain decides based on effort, based on risk, based on reward, uh, the best outcome. Based on the best outcome, the path to go with, or the action to go with, go forward with. So after making that evaluation, it then goes on to making the decision or executing the action. So as we if you this is the breakdown of a system one and system two. So system one has two steps, system two has four steps. So yeah. So throughout the presentation, we learned that humans would make errors, and these errors are can be mostly traced down to design decisions. And right now we learned there is a lot of processes involved, from getting like seeing a problem, or getting a stimulus, to creating an action. So but then, if the user is putting so much effort, and if the user is already taking so much mental effort to making a decision while working on your product, or uh, using your interface, so how can we make this easier? How can we simplify the decision making for the user, so that ultimately the user's product, I mean, our product is very intuitive and user friendly. So that's why that's what we are going to see in the coming stages. So how can we, the question we have to ask ourselves is, what can we do to reduce this mental effort? So that's when we come to the topic of cognitive ergonomics. So what is cognitive ergonomics? So cognitive ergonomics is, in a nutshell, is just making thinking easy for the user. So it's basically optimizing the interaction between the human and the machine by taking into account how people think, remember, perceive, learn, and make decisions. So that's, in a nutshell, what cognitive ergonomics basically is. So within that, there are a lot of concepts which we can consider to, or implement to, make the product very intuitive. But then right now, we are just looking at four. So the first concept is cognitive load. So what is cognitive load? So imagine you're going to a restaurant. So I'll just take you through it. Imagine you're going to a restaurant, and two restaurants. One restaurant has two food options and two drink options, and the second restaurant has like with 20 food options and 20 drink options. So where would you easily make a final decision? would you easily choose between the 2 food options and or the 20 food options? So obviously the first one, right? So as the choices increase, the effort to finally make a decision would also increase. So cognitive load is the mental effort that is required to make a decision. So we all need to take care that the decisions or the choices presented to the user are minimized, and it's very we should make it easy for them to arrive at a final decision. So that's what cognitive load is about. So then we come to mental model. So what is a mental model? Mental model is basically the users or a person, like even us, would have a certain idea about how a product or how a system should work. So imagine you're going to Amazon, or imagine you're going to Flipkart or any e-commerce platform. All of them look and behave the same, right? They have all the categorizations, they have all the products listing in a similar way. So why is this? So Amazon, when it came out, had a information architecture, or had a flow through which people were not trained, but then people got used to. So other platforms which came after Amazon also had to follow the same suit, because if they created a product which had a different IA, or which had a different user flows, which behaved in a different way, it would mean that the user would have to learn that platform in order to just use it. So if that learning uh, curve is a lot, then there would be drops in user engagement and user retention. So it's very necessary to match people's expectation of what a product is and how it will behave, and how we will uh, and how we design the product. So if that mental model is matched, then user satisfaction would also go up. So the next thing is the most key part of cognitive ergonomics, and that is attention. So we looked at the previous design decision breakdown, right? So the first thing was the trigger or the stimulus. So in order for the user to actually notice that stimulus, or in order for the user to notice that stimulus, their attention, or their mental attention should go in that direction, right? So this is the most key part of cognitive ergonomics, which is attention. So focusing the users um, mental focusing the user's mental focus into a certain point, so that the information is noticed, it's processed, and then decision is made. So attention is the most key part, and playing with attention uh, yeah decides whether your product is easy to use, or whether it's not intuitive. Then we come to memory and recall. So imagine you using a product which every time you use it, you have to relearn how to use that product, right? So maybe an app like Snapchat. So imagine using Snapchat 1 year ago, and imagine using Snapchat maybe like today. So Snapchat had used to push so much updates within a short period of time, that within 3 or 4 months, how the product would change drastically, which made people to be updated with the product and be engaged with the product on a daily basis, or else they would just lose track. But then because of this, a lot of people left the platform, and retention dropped. So memory and recall is a very crucial aspect of cognitive ergonomics, because if the user has to put in so much effort to understanding the platform even before using the platform, then there's a high chance that they would just drop off, and just try out an alternative which is more easy to use, and which is easy to learn. So memory and recall is also a very crucial aspect which needs to be taken care of while designing a product. So yeah so now throughout the session we saw how a decision is made, and what why we need to make the right design decisions so as to create the best product. But then after learning so much, like how do we apply it in the real world? That's what it basically is, right? So even if we have all the knowledge in the world, how do we apply it in the real world? So how to apply, I'll just take you through two stories where cognitive behavioral science and principles of cognitive ergonomics have been cleverly used to solve business problems for two very famous platforms. One is Hopper and one is Duolingo. So Hopper is a flight booking and hotel booking platform which shows you the best prices and lets you look like predicts the price for different time frames. So that's what Hopper does. And the problem that they had was intrusive permissions. So like sometimes when some apps that we install right after we open their first page, they will start asking for all the access that they require, right? They'll ask you for your email, that they'll ask you for your camera access, they'll ask you for your locations, your gallery access, your notification access, everything. So which feels very intrusive, right? So we don't want any company, or we don't necessarily like, people doesn't necessarily like others intruding into their personal spaces. So just like that, some companies use at this very start itself, even before building a rapport with the user, they'll just start off asking them for all kinds of permissions. So um, we'll look at how Hopper also, they also ask for permissions, right? Like location and email. But then still, we'll see how they very cleverly got those permissions and solve the issues without being intrusive. And the thing with Duolingo was, so uh, Duolingo also as an app faces user drop-offs, right? So people after a point of time, they'll maybe, due to several reasons, they would drop off the platform. But then anybody who has used Duolingo knows that it's a great platform. It's a great gamified way to learn languages. But then, so Duolingo wanted to resurrect those uh, users back into that platform. But then, how they did it is a very clever and very interesting way. So we'll just go through those stories. The first thing is Hopper. Yeah. So the problem was used to drop off due to intrusive permission pop-ups. So how they solved this was through user-driven prompting. The concept in psychology, which has cleverly been used in their user flow. So let's look at their user flow of booking a flight. So the first screen that you come into Hopper is a great illustration of an airport, and you just have one very simple thing to do. You have to just input where you're going from and where your destination is. So very simple information they are asking from you at the first. So here, as you see, they are not asking for when you want to travel. They are not asking for uh, all those informations, the type of flight you want, type of seat you want. They could ask you a million questions, right? But then they're not asking you anything. They're asking you the very bare basic question of where you're traveling from and where you want to go. So just one thing. And as I told you the illustration. So on Hopper, they use these kind of very aesthetic illustrations of airports, landscapes, and music shows, concerts. All these uh, aspirational parts of a journey, they show you even before you start the flow, or even before you start the booking. So this is called priming. So priming is the use of subconscious cues to trigger an emotion within the user. So even before you start the flow, you start dreaming, right? Oh, this is you, like, subconsciously you saw the airport, so you'll be thinking about all the journeys that you can take from there, the places that you can go, all the places that you have dreamed about. So that goes on inside your subconscious mind. So there's a high chance that there's a more probability that the user would finish that flow. So this is one clever way of using priming to motivate the user to finish their booking. So from there, they select when they click on the input field. This is the illustration goes away, and you're just met with one blank screen. So right now, all your focus is on that input field, and only entering. They have cut out all the clutter. They have avoided all the other unwanted information, and just focusing your entire mental focus on that single point. So this is called progressive disclosure. So it's a technique that is used to reduce cognitive effort by revealing only the most essential information that is required at that point of time. So and then when you click on where you're going from, then you're met with a friction. So a pop-up comes in that asking to allow Hopper to access your location details, right? So they could have asked this at the first stage itself. They could just, even before you enter the home screen of the app, they could have asked you for the location details, but they didn't. They uh, combined it with a user prompted action, so that it feels that the user, because the user prompted that they wanted to book a flight and book a flight from their current location to a location that they are planning to. That's when they ask you for the location details, because right now they are providing value, right? So, and it doesn't feel intrusive. They are not just randomly asking you for your location. They are asking for your location so that they can provide value for you, so that they can make your task easier and reduce your cognitive effort. So because this value is provided to the user, there's a high chance that they would allow Hopper to access the location. But then still, this is a bit early in the flow, right? So some users would still wouldn't allow them to access the location. But then that's fine. That's very much fine. They can still enter, type in their location, and then choose from the options. So from there, after choosing the option, they come to this screen where all the rates have been shown in a calendar view. So this is, but then even in the screen, so if you just look at the screen, it's very cluttered, and it's basically looks like a Christmas tree, right? All the colors are there. You can't really distinguish the dates, but then still, what the user will be able to do is just looking at the colors, they'll get to the information is passed that these are the days with the lowest prices. That information is passed through. So even in this cluttered screen, your focus is on the green tiles. So it's still easy for you to make a decision. And yeah, so this is a concept called incremental decisions. So they could have asked you, as I told you, they could have asked you for the date very early in the flow, but then they have taken you through multiple steps of booking, providing information, and at the last point they are asking for the date. So this process of making a series of small, incremental, and manageable choices, so that doesn't necessarily feel like a lot of cognitive effort is required. So this is a concept called incremental decisions. And after you choose the dates for your travel, you're met with this screen, which shows that the current lowest price for between these dates for these locations are this much. And if you see, they are also showing the price prediction. This is the value proposition, or the value that the app or the product or the company is providing towards the user. So the user, when they go through go through this screen or interface, they get to know that the prices would vary within the next 2 months, right? So it shows them the prediction for that it may go up or it may go down. So right now they are providing you with a lot of value, and they are giving you a clear button and button to watch this trip, so that you can, without you checking in between, you'll get to know that whether the price for your flight has dropped. And only when you click that button, you are getting the next pop-up for notification access. So imagine, instead of asking everything all at once, they are providing value, and then only they are asking for the access. So they're in a loop of creating trust, they're in a loop of creating confidence, they are in a loop of creating value, and then they are asking for your uh, permissions, and they're asking for your uh, privacy. Like, they're still intruding, but then they're doing it in a manful way that doesn't feel very intrusive. So this is a very clever way of playing with behavioral design, so that you get, while the product gets what it wants, and the user also get what they want. So it's a win-win situation. It's all about creating a win-win situation. So the next thing is Duolingo. So Duolingo, the problem was user retention, right? So people were dropping off and they want to bring them back. So what they used was happy path mechanisms. So Duolingo, how they did it was they push out all these notifications, they push out all these emails, having the triggers or stimuli, which is the first part of decision making. And from there, they take you, if you click on that, they take you through a series of lessons. So when this is the home screen, and you have a clear button to start your lesson, and so this is, so you can see all the concept, that psychological concept that has been used in creating this user experiences. So there's external triggers, there's Hicks law, there is user shaming, there's happy path. So happy path is essentially an ideal, smooth, and very easy path to get back into the process. So they have implemented a happy path mechanism, so that it's very easy for the user to come back. And after they have come back and started using the platform again, they'll use another set of psychological concepts, so that you get back into the loop of learning, and you get invested into their platform. So first, once you finish the first lesson, they show you progress bar and tell you that a reward is waiting for you. So you keep on chasing that reward, and after you receive that reward, you go on to, they give you a next challenge, whether you will keep this up for 7 days. So they will keep on giving you rewards until you finish that challenge. And even before you know, and even before you notice what's happening, you would have fallen for sunk cost fallacy, which is which is a tendency for the people to continue an action, or mostly because they have a thought that they have already invested so much time and effort into this platform, or into this action or a decision. So they keep on continuing their action because of fear for loss aversion. So yeah, so this is a very clever and nice way how Duolingo used to resurrect their users back into their platform. So a user who was once a who once dropped off their platform is now a repeated and daily user of their platform. So that's how they converted so many users into coming back to their platform and increasing the engagement in the platform. So yeah, so as I told, now we come to the very last part of the presentation. So what I showed you is a sneak peek into what behavioral design and how psychological concepts can be used in creating better products. So this is for I just want to thank all the people who have attended this session for taking time out of your lives to being a part of this. And so if you want, you can just like take a screenshot and use in your own time. You can go through all these concepts. I know it's a lot of concepts are there, but then um, you can start off with any of these. I have categorized them into 4 parts, and if you want, you can start off with information and go down that rabbit hole of researching one by one, and then learn more about it. So yeah, so if you guys want, you can just take a screenshot and use it as per your need. And so the people who doesn't like research, right? Um, so if you don't have much time to put into learning what all the behavioral concepts in design, so you can just use some of these books. So these are great books which teaches you what behavioral design is and how you can use this to nudge people and motivate people. Or you can go through these YouTube channels, which also give you tremendous information on what this topic is actually about. So they can teach you much more than what I can through this presentation and through this session. So yeah, so you can use these resources as you like. So yeah, thank you so much for being part of the session. And yeah, so that's it from my side.
So with that, we will be wrapping up this session. Thank you all. A big thanks to Atul again and all our team member volunteers, behind the screens and making sure this event is really good. And all of you participants who has, put their time and efforts and attending the session, kudos to you all. And we're looking forward to seeing you at our future IFCS meetup. Until then, try to look at the world through the designer's lens. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.